Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, the decision is in. Indiana can expect to see more refugees in 2017.
Really what we're offering them is a normal life again, and that has become an incredibly precious thing for them.
But following a legal battle between Exodus, refugee immigration, and Governor Mike Pence, their arrival comes with political controversy. An Indiana town could be the first in its state to put restrictions on short-term rentals, such as those featured on Airbnb. It's a popular way for homeowners to supplement their incomes.
It's had a wonderful experience with getting to meet and greet with new families.
We'll ask an expert if the regulations will make the rentals more reliable or create a difficult hurdle for the market. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. President Obama wants to increase the number of refugees the United States takes in by about 23% during the next fiscal year, which starts October 1st. That means there's a need for more communities throughout the country where refugees can settle. As Barbara Brozier reports, this week the State Department approved Indianapolis-based Exodus Refugee Immigration's request to open an office in Bloomington and start resettling refugees in the community.
Yasmin Fashier spends a lot of her time on the campus of Indiana University. She's a sophomore in the School of Global and International Studies, but it's not just her choice of college that landed her in Indiana.
I was born in Darfur, Sudan. I was there until I was 3 years old.
Fashier's family came to the United States in the late 90s, fleeing terror and heartache. Her father was about to be prosecuted, so they had no choice but to leave.
The genocide in Darfur basically is when the Janjaweed paired up, which is a militia group in Darfur, paired up with the government to massacre Darfurians. Over 3,000 were killed, millions were displaced, and one of the families that were displaced were my own.
Fashier's family eventually ended up in Indianapolis, where they live now. And while they've adjusted to their life in America, it hasn't been easy.
Shortly after 9/11 is when I started to actually remember things, and I kept remembering, one of the most vivid memories is when my mom and I were driving and someone yelled at us to go back to Iran. And I was like, we're African.
The United Nations estimates there are about 21.3 million refugees worldwide. During a United Nations summit on refugees earlier this month, President Obama said the United States needs to do more to help people like Fashier, who are fleeing dangerous conflicts.
It's a test of our international system, where all nations ought to share in our collective responsibilities, because the vast majority of refugees are hosted by just 10 countries who are bearing a very heavy burden.
To help handle an increase in the number of refugees the U.S. accepts during this next fiscal year, the State Department is looking for more communities to send families to. Bloomington will be one of them.
We'll expect to resettle about 60 refugees, roughly starting late winter or early spring of 2017.
Indianapolis-based Exodus Refugee Immigration submitted the request to the State Department earlier this year. It's in the middle of a lawsuit challenging Governor Mike Pence's decision to ban Syrian refugees from coming to the state. But that hasn't stopped the organization from doing so. Over the past 2 years, Exodus has helped about 140 Syrian refugees come to Indiana.
Refugees flee not because they want to relocate to the U.S. or because they want to just immigrate. It's because they literally cannot live in their home country anymore. Their homes have been bombed out. they've been persecuted for their religious beliefs.
Varga says Bloomington is an ideal resettlement site because of the large academic and international community, as well as the strong public transportation system. A group of Bloomington leaders recently formed the Bloomington Refugee Support Network to help Exodus with the transition. Earlier this month, about 100 people gathered at the Monroe County Public Library to brainstorm ways the community can help refugees with needs like housing, education, and employment.
Bloomington is a very welcoming community, and it's a very progressive community in the sense that they understand that when newcomers are coming in, it's not a burden, it's an enrichment.
But not everyone at the meeting was in favor of welcoming refugees to Bloomington. A small but vocal group of people asked questions about how Syrian refugees are screened and whether they'll follow U.S. laws.
Safety is a concern. If some of the refugees come over here and they have low skills, they will go on welfare, and the public taxpayer money will be spent on them.
Elizabeth Dunn is an associate professor of international studies at Indiana University and a founding member of the Bloomington Refugee Support Network. She says refugees undergo a more extensive screening process than anyone else coming into the country.
The first screening process happens with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. And UNHCR will interview them multiple times, cross-check them with their databases, check them with other people's stories, collect biometric data, run that against databases.
And that's just a small portion of the screening process. Dunn says as a resettlement community, Bloomington won't have any financial responsibilities for the refugees. The federal government provides each refugee with money to help cover living expenses during their first few months in the country. The local community will serve more as a support system for the new residents.
What we're trying to be is really their first neighbors, their first friends when they arrive. It's really hard to move to a new country, and I think you need the kind of help and support just to learn the ropes of a new place.
Fashir says she thinks Bloomington is the best place in Indiana for Syrian and Congolese refugees to end up. But she wants the community to remember no matter where the families come from, they are their equals.
Refugees don't deserve the bare minimum. They deserve a lot more than that, and so feel free to donate and feel free to help them, but know that that's not the be-all, end-all.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
Bloomington could get refugees from any country, but Exodus says they're most likely to receive families from Syria and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Indiana's farm fatalities rose 10% last year, with tractor and machinery accidents remaining the leading cause of fatal injuries. There were 28 farm-related deaths from last year, up from 25 in 2014. Still, the state's farm fatalities continue an overall decline that began in 1970, as increasingly fewer people choose to live and work on farms. State police say at least 25 rounds were fired during the March shootout that led to the death of Kokomo deputy Carl Kuntz. Prosecutors say the home was a drug trafficking hub, and they filed drug charges against 6 people and charged 3 others with misdemeanor visiting a common nuisance. A class action lawsuit accusing the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles of overcharging license and title fees had a hearing in court this week. In the second of 2 lawsuits seeking refunds, the Indiana BMV insisted it's refunded all overcharges for every customer it can identify. But the attorney representing the customers disagrees. Exactly who those refunds would go to can't be specifically identified. The judge did not issue a ruling and indicated the decision could take a while. When it comes to education, gubernatorial candidates John Gregg and Eric Holcomb have similar goals. At this week's debate, each called for expanding state-funded preschool. Both want a new state test. But on the source of Indiana's teacher shortage, differences emerged. Democrat John Gregg says that stems from Indiana lawmakers.
So it's teaching to the test, it's the flat salaries, it's the total lack of respect. I mean, blaming teachers for basically society today.
It's not just Indiana-centric, it is a national issue. We are 60,000 positions that look to be unfilled across the whole country.
Gregg and Holcomb do disagree on school choice and the state's private school voucher program, topics that were not addressed at the debate. A pre-K advocacy group wants more funding for pre-K scholarships for low-income families. This week, they asked legislators for the money, and legislators pushed back. The pre-K advocacy group represents many businesses that have invested millions of dollars in providing similar scholarships for students in Indianapolis.
The elected officials have to sometimes step outside the boundaries of the normal government financial decision making and say, what are we going to spend money on?
Republican legislators were skeptical of the request and worried about moving millions of dollars into a new fund.
And in the analysis that was done, it talks about the savings in remediation or special education that would take place.
The General Assembly convenes in January and can address the issue then. Indiana University Health Plans is the latest company to announce it won't be offering coverage through the Affordable Care Act exchange in 2017. IU Health cites instability in the federal market and the Affordable Care Act's risk-sharing provisions in its decision. A U.S. Department of Health and Human Services spokesman said in an email it's normal for companies to enter and exit a marketplace. Lawmakers are surveying Indiana's alcohol laws before the next legislative session begins. The committee is looking for inconsistencies and plans to give recommendations to the General Assembly. The list of priorities likely won't include action on the issue of Sunday alcohol carryout sales. The committee will meet twice more this year before finalizing its recommendations. Community officials addressed the issue of homelessness in Bloomington last weekend at a Young Professional Summit. As Sophia Salaby reports, their goal was to introduce a new perspective on the experience of being homeless, as well as to explain how community organizations, the county, and city governments are tackling the issue.
Lillian Hennegar wants to end homelessness in Bloomington. She's the township trustee. She presented her plan as part of a panel on housing insecurity Saturday at a Young Professionals Summit. The plan includes long-term housing for the homeless and a detox center. She says a multifaceted approach must be taken because housing insecurity can be created by a variety of factors.
And so there's more than just giving someone a house. There's more than just getting someone sober.
Some see a disconnect between students on campus and the issues surrounding homelessness in Bloomington and say this can be a hurdle.
Yes, they see these homeless individuals in the community. However, it's just like an afterthought.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Sophia Salaby.
A new bill would fast-track affordable housing development in East Chicago. Republican Representative Todd Young's proposal would give Indiana $8.5 million in low-income housing tax credits to spend in the area in the next 2 years. There's not enough affordable housing in East Chicago for everyone who has to move, and some feel the city needs more immediate action so residents don't have to move away at all. A community-led effort is working to bring affordable solar panels to Columbus residents. As JD Gray reports, the first panels are operational as of this month.
Workers from Third Sun Solar are standing on the roof of Alan Gifford's garage. They're preparing for the installation of 38 solar panels, enough to generate around 10 kilowatts of power on a sunny day.
It faces south, and it's at an angle that's pretty good for collecting solar.
Gifford purchased the panels through the Columbus Solar Initiative, a group of citizens that work together to negotiate a discounted rate on a large group purchase of solar panels. Their goal is to see 1,000 new solar panels installed by December 31st. This month, crews are installing 136 panels as a part of the group buy. Gifford is among the first 5 residents to get the solar panels. Gifford says he installed the panels as an investment in the environment, but he also is benefiting from a tax credit the federal government offers.
You know, we're adding value to our house. We're doing something unique that if we ever sell it, hopefully somebody else will find it to be valuable. In the meantime, we hope to reap some of the benefits lower electric bills.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm JD Gray.
With less than 4 months left in the timeline to reach 1,000 solar panels, the group is at 13% of its overall goal. Aside from the 5 installations happening this month, an additional 11 people signed letters of intent to show their interest in purchasing solar panels. The Indiana Department of Revenue says the state's tax amnesty program last year brought in $188.5 million in back taxes. It also cleared the delinquent status of some 77,000 individual and business taxpayers. The amount of money is double what the General Assembly expected. International experts and community leaders will gather in Columbus this weekend. As Joe Wren reports, they will be attending a symposium exploring the city's public art and architecture.
Columbus is known for its architecture.
We get a lot of people coming to town that want to check out our architecture and also our great collection of public art.
The city of Columbus is celebrating its architecture with the inaugural Foundations and Futures Symposium. Organizers of the symposium hope to celebrate the city's history and inspire new innovations in art and architecture.
The goal of the symposium really is to start a new dialogue in Columbus about some of the history that's here, some of the things that built this community, with international experts that come in to talk about some of the history, and at the same time community leaders that help build and maintain some of the projects that are in town.
Next year, Columbus will host 15 temporary art and architecture installations as a part of Exhibit Columbus. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Joe Wren.
Pete Dye is a world-renowned golf course architect. He's the designer of more than 150 golf courses, and his latest work is in Westfield, Indiana. As Lindsay Wright reports, this course is one that's close to home.
When it comes to golf, no Pete Dye course is the same.
There's so much architecture and so much vision to the course, just like someone might really embrace and experience if they're looking at an incredibly unique building.
Dye has been working on the Chatham Hills Golf Course in Westfield for about 5 years. Not a single person played the course before the grand opening this past Thursday to keep it in pristine condition. The course features 85 feet of elevation change, creeks, and wooded areas, and Dye has had a close and watchful eye on it. That's because he lives just a short drive away in Carmel. He was able to check on its progression regularly, which is part of the reason the Chatham Hills team thinks the course is particularly special.
We've been able to have this, legendary architect just here and present all the time. I think his dog has probably swam in every lake here.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
And Joe Dye will turn 91 this year. Look at everything he's accomplished.
I guess I'm going to have to take up golf now.
You will.
Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Homeowners are opening their doors to strangers through websites like Airbnb, but a new local proposed ordinance is requiring permits and inspections. Will it deter business or make it more reliable? And we visit a ranch that is celebrating a once-in-a-lifetime event in an unusual way. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
We are a nation of explorers. We seek new ways of living, of thinking, and of expressing ourselves. We take risks. We learn from experience, and we keep moving forward. That's why we encourage and celebrate the explorer in all of us.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18 fine.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Bloomington could become the first city in the state to regulate popular short-term rentals like Airbnb and VRBO. As Barbara Brozier reports, the city held a meeting this week to get feedback on the proposed ordinance.
You have families that want a nice place to stay, that have a kitchen.
Susan Slavin rents out her Bloomington condo as a way to generate some extra income.
When your home is open to them, it's loved, it's cared for, and well maintained and able to accommodate a lot of needs that just a normal hotel couldn't take care of.
She's already booked well into 2017, but worries about how a proposed ordinance could impact her business. Slavin was one of several property owners who attended a meeting this week to learn more about regulations the city of Bloomington is considering implementing. The ordinance would ban commercial short-term rentals, where people use a property solely as a vacation rental.
What we don't want to happen is people try to circumvent our rental inspection program by operating a lot of short-term rentals within our community.
Under the proposal, hosts must live at the short-term rental properties year-round. They would have to obtain a $100 permit from the city, which would only be issued after an inspection. The fines for operating a short-term rental without a permit would start at $2,500. Slavin and other property owners say they aren't against the regulations, but they think the proposal goes too far. It restricts the number of people allowed to stay at properties and prohibits serving food to guests.
It seems like the city is wanting to get our input as much as they can so they can know what they really do have to work with.
Slavin is hopeful the city will make some changes to the proposal before it goes before the city council in November. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
Joining us now is Abby Stemler. She's an assistant professor of business law and ethics at the Kelley School of Business. She studies the sharing economy, a term to describe social and online services such as Airbnb and Uber. Thank you so much for being here today. So let's get right to it. There's two sides to this story. Some say that this is going to help keep the customer safe, the Airbnb customer safe. Of course, the city says that, and some of the Airbnb renters are saying, no, this is money grabbing. It's going to hurt business.
Right. So that is a common argument for this new way of doing business. The sharing economy is kind of disrupting the way we've typically done things, disrupting the way hotels, the space hotels have typically been in. And, the Bloomington Ordinance, which is a small fee that you have to pay in order to get inspected to make sure your place is a safe place to stay, doesn't seem to be too much of a burden. There was a study out of Portland, Oregon that said about 65% of people are using Airbnb to help afford their home, and they earn on average about $9,000 a year through the service. So if they are going to pay a small fee to protect consumers, there seems to be a balance that is struck in the favor, to benefit the regulatory goals, while at the same time still allowing people to participate in this new economy.
You see a lot of on these online items where the customers can rate the business or product in some terms as well. Do those really work? Are those really true to form?
Yeah, great question. So part of my research has kind of explored those reputation systems, we call them feedback loops. Those feedback loops are designed to help make sure people make good decisions about where to stay and who to get in a car with and that sort of thing. But those systems can be flawed. They can be biased. And my research has suggested that they might be a little bit biased to be too positive. And so to have the government come in and do a cursory inspection to make sure things safe probably will help fix the defects in those reputation systems.
And we just have a few seconds left, but whether it's Uber or Airbnb, do you think we might see more regulation in the future?
Absolutely. So the regulatory space in this environment is still pretty immature, but we are seeing a growing trend to begin to regulate these services more and more.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. Restaurants are rarely awarded historic status, but Artie's Tenderloin in Kokomo is rare. Artie's is the home of diner food, tenderloins, pork chops, and meatloaf. As J.D. Gray reports, when the diner received a plaque in honor of their historic status this month, everything changed. Everything except Artie's.
Yeah, most of them think my name's Artie. It's not, but most people do. Yeah, the familiar faces are very familiar that come in here.
Danny Kelly is the 7th owner of Artie's Tenderloin. It's been open since 1938.
I hear it's kind of rare for little family-owned, family-operated businesses being open that long.
Kelly says it's the longest operating restaurant in the same location in Kokomo. And that's why the Kokomo Historic Review Board granted them historic status, creating a boom in business. The week after Artie's received a plaque designating them a historic location, Kelly says sales tripled.
Last 3 weeks, we've probably been selling about 10 times more than normal Tenderloin.
Kelly is loyal to his customers. He's been working longer hours since getting the historic status.
Also, I was closed on Sundays, but someone posted a picture of a menu that was about 10 years old that said, I'm open on Sundays, open till 6 o'clock at night. And I told the wife, I said, I gotta be there because I don't want to get people angry.
For now, Kelly leaves his historic plaque behind the counter.
Kelly says the restaurant maintains its original storefront from 1938. And there are many ways to celebrate fall. Lark Ranch in Logodi opened an Indiana-themed corn maze in celebration of Indiana's bicentennial. The 15-acre maze takes approximately 1 hour to complete. The Indiana Corn Maze will be open through October on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And that's the end of this program, but more online at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers, now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. SIphysicians.org, IU Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, working to improve cybersecurity and provide policy guidance through partnerships with industry, government, and academia.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.